The disciplines and ideas in the social sciences. Now we will discuss Module 8 of the subject, which is the discipline of psychology. After discussing, we will be able to connect the discipline of psychology with its historical and social foundations, compare and contrast the social sciences according to their fields, articulate the key concepts in psychology, and articulate the current applications of psychology. Now, what is psychology? The root word of psychology comes from the Greek word psyche, which means soul. Hence, psychology is, in essence, the study of the soul. The definition of psychology has evolved through time. Some psychologists define it as the study of behavior and mental processes. Psychology is an interdisciplinary study which involves disciplines in the social sciences, natural sciences, and even humanities and philosophy. It is said to be the hub science since many areas of study provide information to its development. Psychology also seeks to answer why the human mind works the way it does and how it functions and operates. There are different fields of psychology. First, we have the biological psychology. This studies psychology from a biological perspective. It examines how thoughts, feelings, and behavior physically affect human beings or animals. Among the questions that biological psychology seeks to answer are the following. First, do hereditary traits translate to psychological behavior? Next, is behavior inherited from our parents? In the last one, how can the understanding of animal psychology help explore human psychology? Next field is the behavioral psychology or behaviorism. It determines psychological processes through the use of observable data. Behaviorism is essentially a learning theory as it inquires the developmental aspect of behavior and analyzes quantitatively the changes that occurred over time. This field involves experimentation to determine the psychological behavior and seeks to answer these questions. First, how can pain and pleasure condition psychological behavior? Next, what environmental stimuli can affect sense perception enough to alter thoughts and actions? And the last one, that's all. So the next field is the cognitive psychology. It analyzes how sensory data are interpreted and are used by the mind to produce behavior. It is a field focused on how information and knowledge is gained, selected, stored in memory, retrieved, and internally manipulated. Mental processes such as attention, memory, perception, language, and metacognition are among the areas involved in cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychology relates to an individual's capacity to comprehend the world around him or her. It attempts to answer this question: how is language acquired? How do we select the most useful data out of an array of available information? How does our brain effectively allow us to act using knowledge of past events? Next is the social psychology. It interprets the behavior of groups in the presence of others. It is the area of psychology that inquires on the changes in behavior, emotions, thoughts, and feelings of individuals in a group in relation to other groups or community. Forming collaboration between sociologists and psychologists, this field studies human behavior as a result of immediate social interactions, both physical and virtual. Among the questions that social psychology attempts to answer are the following. How can television commercials and other forms of advertisement affect the buying habits of people? How can mass demonstrations affect the psychology of the people participating in them, and how does ideology control the very lives of people? Next is the psychoanalysis. It is an area of psychology that can be philosophical and practical inquiry, such that ideas and concepts which are metaphysical in nature can only be theorized but not experimented on. The main idea behind psychoanalysis is the concept of the unconscious. The unconscious mind is the level of human thought hidden from one's consciousness or immediate understanding. Studies in psychoanalysis reveal that the unconscious is created even before the person becomes aware that he or she is a person. Unconscious thoughts and feelings, however, surface to the conscious mind in some form or another, which affects our lives and behavior. When these unconscious thoughts become a problem, a psychoanalytic therapy may be suggested to put the conscious mind at ease. The last one is the Humanistic Psychology. It is a field that focuses on how a person can better achieve self-actualization through the development of his or her abilities. It is a holistic approach to psychology as it aims to maximize one's self-awareness and behavior. Humanistic psychology promotes that a person has an intrinsic ability to focus his or her life in a meaningful way. Among the approaches used in this field are person-centered therapy, wherein clients allow themselves to open up and express all their emotions, and the existential approach, which enables clients to better understand themselves by seeking out their true potential and inquiring on the nature of their existence. Next is the key concepts in psychology. First, we have the personality. Personality is defined differently by psychologists throughout different periods and schools of thought. But in general terms, personality is defined as the consistent pattern of individuals' behavior, attitude, and thoughts. There are two approaches in the study of personality. First, the study of differences in personality characteristics, and the second, the study of the various parts of a person that make up his or her personality. Next is the unconscious mind. As theorized by Sigmund Freud, the unconscious is the hidden or underlying structure of consciousness where a person's repressed emotions, feelings, or traumatic memory is stored. Repression is a form of self-preservation in as much as it removes unpleasant thoughts from our conscious mind. But according to Freud, we are unconsciously being influenced by our repressed thoughts. An example of repressed thoughts surfacing is a slip of the tongue, where one suddenly utters words that he or she did not mean to say in a particular event or situation. Next is the motivation. Motivation is the reason why a person acts. It is the driving force behind actions and is influenced by the environment, social factors, personal choices, behavior, intelligence, and other psychological traits. Motivation serves as a guide as to how we could achieve our goal. Then next we have the development. Development refers to the changes that occur in a person throughout his or her life. These changes are physical, example the weight, the height, the emotional, and social. One example in the study of development is the language acquisition of a child. These are varying theories as to why a child can learn language in a relatively short amount of time, whereas an adult would take longer to acquire a second or third language. Then we will proceed to the current applications of psychology. First, we have the mental testing. Psychological tests are commonly given as a requirement for job applications or school or university entrance examinations. Psychological tests aim to measure the respondent's personality traits, behavior, beliefs, and feelings, or to determine if he or she has some form of psychological problem. Aside from written tests, mental testing also comes in the form of interviews. The overall aim of mental testing is to get a comprehensive assessment of the person's mental health and provide a deeper understanding of problems the patient has. Next is the mental health care. Mental health care is provided to individuals with personality disorders, mental disorders, or emotional problems that are severe enough to affect the way they function in life and in society. Mental health care is provided by clinical psychologists and psychiatrists so that the individual could properly function in society by means of therapy. There are many treatments used by mental health care practitioners, including psychotherapy and medication. Next is the health, well-being, and social change. Psychologists has an array of roles in the area of public health. They can educate patients by providing instructions on how to cope with illnesses or how to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Psychologists can also give doctors recommendations on how to properly address and approach patients. Psychologists are also able to provide new knowledge on various social issues by researching, for example, the effects of terrorism on the mental health and consciousness of the people, or the effects of bullying in schools to children. The discipline of psychology progressed from the simply inquiry of reasons behind human actions to the analysis of the clinical factors that define human behavior, cognition, and consciousness. This progression allowed psychology to traverse across the disciplines of the social sciences and the natural sciences. One of the chief contributions of psychology in the 21st century society is its capacity to improve the quality of life of individuals through the examination and betterment of their mental health and general sense of well-being. So that ends about the discipline of psychology.